guys has dropped into another week of soccer down here on a Freestyle Friday. John, hear you there. Sorry about 906. I was pushing buttons and trying to get everything squared away. You know, when your computer updates and then it's like you think you've saved all your passwords and you apparently haven't, or at least the computer doesn't remember that you've saved all your passwords. When you have, morning, Alex. I thought I'd saved all my passwords. And you sit there and it's like, all right, okay, I get it. And it also takes a little while for the computer to sit there and register a video signal so you can actually get things done. So anyway, that's where we are at 906/907. And it's another go round of soccer down here. A lot to talk about to get you ready for the weekend. A lot from yesterday to get into. All of the scores from Europe. And Sabalov Janidze ended up with 5 assists yesterday. Of course, Georgia was a large favorite in their match against Thailand that they won 8-1. So getting into all the games for the weekend, getting into all the action that happened yesterday. We got some coaching carousel to talk about. We've got the list to talk about. And yeah, Michael, I know that when hitting is not there, that's never a bad thing. For a double negative, anyway. Yeah, hitting wasn't there. Pitching kind of was. Brian Snitker made some decisions that he shouldn't have made. Very Bobby Coxian at points. And the hitting just wasn't there. For a team that averaged, 6 runs a game, only averaging 2 in the postseason. But think about it this way, and I guess this is how we're evolving into Morning Bam. Think about it this way. The top 4 didn't make it to the Final 4 in Major League Baseball. They did not make it. Top 4 out. And then I think that reinforces everything about the postseason and just how out of control the postseason can be in some sports sometimes. How absolutely crazy is a postseason. And apparently in baseball this year it was. Morning Pars, morning Bam, morning Nix, morning Michael. And so Michael is now proposing something along the lines of Clemsoning. Complete postseason failure. Yeah, it was. I mean, considering the expectations that were there. So Bravesing, Barvesing, because there have been times where folks would sit, when the Braves were awful, they would call them the Barves. And so maybe it's Barvesing if you bring back that particular term. So maybe it's Barvesing all over again. But no, hitting wasn't there. The hitting that got them 104 wins, the hitting that got them into the postseason, the hitting that got them the best record in baseball did not show up in the postseason. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm like I said, this might be, fuddy-duddy me being 127 years old. Back in the, the early 2000s, shoot, what am I saying? The early 20th century. The early 20th century, when I was a pitcher, I had short hair. I legitimately had short hair. These days, I don't know what it means or what it is, but every pitcher, I swear to God, every relief pitcher has hair reminiscent of an 80s rock band. And I don't know how it all stays under the hat. I don't know how the hat stays on the head. Maybe because it's a fitted hat, But yeah, the length of the length of hair of pitchers, it's stunning to me at times, and I still have no earthly idea how it stays under the hat and how the hat stays on the head. I really don't. So that is my dime store analysis of Major League Baseball. And see, and full disclosure, and I guess we're evolving into opening kickoff here that we're talking baseball. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, as I block out the QR code for hour number 2. That's your QR code right there for our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase, and they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I'm an Angels fan, first and foremost. And so for me, when I look at what's going on in the National League, I have no sense of really what's going on when it comes to winning baseball. Because the Angels, and I got into this conversation yesterday with Peter Biello. I was on All Things Considered with him, talking basically everything sports rapid fire yesterday on All Things Considered on GPB radio. And he's a guy who's from Massachusetts who's a Yankees fan, because that was how his family was raised. And I was trying to explain to him how I'm not a Braves guy, I'm an Angels guy, and how my team has been awful, or actually worse. We've been mediocre, which means we really haven't had a whole lot to talk about. It's either been Trout, Ohtani, and mediocrity, with an owner that legitimately he thought he was out and then he's back in, and we were all cheering, and then we're like, no, you can't do that to us. And you trade for a half a dozen players, I don't think it was 5, by the trade deadline, and then you get rid of them all within a month because you were worse with those 5 guys in than you were before you traded for them. You were closer to getting into the wild card as the Anaheim Angels of Southern California in the 714 area code of the South Bay portion of Los Angeles Angels. You were better off not trading all of those prospects for all of those high-priced dudes, because when the high-priced dudes came in, you ended up being worse. And then Ohtani blows out his UCL, which means he can't pitch next year, and you're going to lose him anyway, probably to the Dodgers. He'll be a position player, and he'll hit, but he can't pitch for you. I'm to the point now where it's just like, give Mike Trout a good home. Legitimately. Just give him a good home. I'm tired of it. But that's the thing. It's like the Angels are average. Outside of those 2 guys, they're a 500 team or slightly below, which means they don't get talked about. The Braves, 104 wins. They get talked about. The Phillies, everybody who made – I mean, think about this. Your Final Four in baseball is a Texas series in the American League with Texas and Houston, the Rangers. And in the National League, it is Arizona and Philadelphia. All of the baseball rights holders are cursing themselves right now. No offense, Rich. But, yeah, legitimately, you guys have things to talk about. Angels fans like me, we have nothing to talk about because we are average or below average, which means we don't rate. So I was looking at the Major League Baseball postseason from afar, and now I'm seeing that the Braves are out. OUT out. And like I said, I'm wondering about hair and all these other kinds of things because my team is average. Not talking about it. Alex, baseball players, especially pitchers, have a lot of time on their hands. You can only scratch so many times before you need something else to do, like watch your hair grow. And here comes Rich in from the top rope. Best team in baseball. Yes. Yeah, Rich, ring the bell. You downplaying our supporter shield? Yes. I guess the National League pie plate. The National League or Major League Baseball pie plate. It was the best record in the majors. Michael, you can't be the best team in baseball when you get bounced in the division series. Best regular season. It's super important. So, yes. Morning, Ricky. Yes. So that's what we're getting into this morning. Rich, don't stray too far because there was something else in kickoff that I want to discuss in general, sir. And it's how cold the business is. It is how cold the business can be. And when you've got all of these things going on around you, sometimes, well, yes, I know, Ricky, it's a soccer show, and that's why I'm trying to steer it back to soccer. So the Philadelphia Union yesterday. And, sometimes you find out just how cold the business can be. And you really do find out what's going on with Major League Soccer and with all of the stuff. We talked yesterday about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his visits to Charlotte and D.C. So yesterday in Philadelphia, like I said, sometimes you find out just how cold the business can be, where next season, and it's the timing in this is very interesting. Pablo Maurer and Tommy Scoops yesterday at the Athletic. Philadelphia Union does not plan to offer a contract extension to club captain Alejandro Bedoya. Multiple sources briefed on the matter told The Athletic this week. Sources requested anonymity to protect their positions, naturally. If carried out as planned, the move would end Bedoya's 8-year tenure at the club as the contract expires after 23. Bedoya was informed of the Union's plan in a conversation after a training session last week. So basically, last week, you've got 2 or 3 matches left in the season, and you're told this. Bedoya approached Ernst Tanner and asked for some clarity on his situation. Sources said and was told he would not be returning and that he needed to find a new club. Conversation lasted less than 20 seconds, according to one source, which was confirmed independently by others aware of the encounter. I love the phraseology here. Sources, sources this, and this. According to one source, which was confirmed independently by others aware of the encounter. Translation, folks that were hanging around close to the conversation. In addition to Bedoya, sources briefed on the Union's plans told the Athletics that Kai Wagner will likely depart as well. Wagner's out of contract. Ricky, we are going to get into the U22s. I wanted to get into that today. Wagner's also out of contract at the end of the season. Sources say talks about a potential extension have gotten nowhere all season. Defenders received strong European interest, including an offer from Greek club AEK Athens. Remember, that's the home of Matias Almeida. Wagner's also drawn interest from Leeds United. Philadelphia Union, of course, naturally declined comment. Bedoya joined Union 2016. Face of the franchise, integral to the Union's growth of the league from an afterthought to one of MLS's consistent clubs. 24 goals, 202 appearances since joining as a DP from Nantes. Since his debut, the club's made the playoffs in 7 of 8 years, including winning their first ever trophy in 2020, the Pie Plate, the Appetizer Plate, and then MLS Cup Final in 2022. Yeah, head coach Jim Curtin, to be honest, they should build a statue for this guy at the club. 35 matches, all comps this year. 3 teams across all of Major League Soccer have earned more points this year than the Union. Union made the playoffs once in their first 6 years. Before Bedoya joined in September of last year, he signed a 1-year deal, guaranteed $1,060,000 at the time. Ernst Tanner praised his influence on the Union's youngest players. Union have made a habit. This is once again, the article continues. Redeveloping their roster to great success over the last 5 years under Tanner and Curtin. Remember, Harris Medunjanin got let go, brought in Jose Martinez. You let go of Trusty and McKenzie, along with the Aaronsons and Kasper Shabilko. Bedoya 66 caps during a 7-year run with the men's national team, starting all 4 matches at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Played in France, Scotland, Sweden. Kai Wagner joined from Würzburger Kickers, third-tier club in Germany in 2019. New league record for assists for a defender in 2022 with 15. Named a finalist for Defender of the Year award, named MLS Best 11 and 22. So the Union closed their season against New England, the match against the Revs. That's regular season. So I just, the reason I bring this up, other than it being news, is the idea that with a handful of weeks in the regular season, you decide to sit there. It's like, I want to know how I stand. Go find a new club. That's cold-blooded. That is absolutely cold-blooded. And so you get that information in Philly from all of that intrigue. So we'll keep an eye on that. So then, Rich, let me ask you, as our resident Philadelphian, what do you think they're going to do with Wagner probably heading to AEK Athens and Alejandro Bedoya out the door? Like I said, I just found the timing interesting. Handful of matches left in the regular season, and instead of sitting there and saying, we'll talk about it later, bang, you get the answer now. Yeah, we don't want to distract you from what we're trying to do here for the rest of the regular season. No, you better plan. Yeah, you better plan your future now. So that's what that was. The Palace intrigue is not left to the imagination with Alejandro Bedoya yesterday. So I thought that was intriguing. The discussion about the baseball appetizer plate get you into the baseball Champions League versus a team in Cuba. Pars, after all the dramas, are going to miraculously forgive the club for moving him. I'm guessing that Etienne is the one going. Parzival, I think that Derek will be a decision that will have to be made, and that'll be a part of the offseason discussions for Atlanta United. Franco Ibarra, right now you would be fourth probably in the pecking order. You'd have to really prove what's up with your future. Michael Head, somehow the Union and the Phillies seem cut from the same cloth to me. Tough teams. Rich Ransom, I'm over it. The drama. They're going to do a roster overhaul. A lot of expiring contracts, young players to sell, and other transfers. Ernst Tanner won't and can't do anything because they're waiting for new roster rules to be announced. Tom Russo's rather happy about his Phillies. And then the conversation between Parzival and Ricky and Rich as a part of all of the discussion, too. So, like I said, I just thought that the timing was very, very interesting. That you're, letting one of the individuals who has been key to your successes over the last handful of seasons, you let him know with 2 weeks to go in the regular season, dude, go find another job. Like I said, I just found that intriguing yesterday. So it makes you wonder how many more of these kinds of discussions we're going to be seeing before the season's over across the league. But this one was the first one across our collective bow this morning. So we'll see. That's your opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, as I cover up both my head and the QR code for hour number 2. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Facebook, on Twitch, and on Twitter, debating adding us to YouTube so the video can be up immediately. So that might start next week. We'll see what happens there. That's your QR code for those of you watching across all of our social media platforms. Thanks for kicking off your day. See what I did there with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. Yesterday, and Ricky, this is what we were getting into. And so now, guys, this is everyone listening. I'm going to need you to get out pen and paper. I need you to get out pen and paper unless you have looked at it and have your order and are confident in what you saw. Are you confident in your order and in your ideas? Nick Alifi joining us here on a Friday. And Nick, I was about to get into the U22 list that came out yesterday from Major League Soccer. Caleb Wiley is on it, but I wanted to get into everyone's levels of confidence as to that list. And I was going to go from 22 to 1 and see if we all agreed on who was going to be where and where we are with Major League Soccer. Put in your hip pocket, sir, the conversation about Tonali and Zaniolo leaving camp. No, Ricky, we did not. And that is why I wanted to actually tell you what. I'm going to put the U22 off to the side. Since we didn't get into Tonali and Zaniolo yesterday, Nick, I'm going to go ahead. Forget it being in your hip pocket. Let's talk about it now.
Okay.
For those that are not familiar with what went down, I imagine that there was a collective eyebrow that was raised where you had two of your top guns leaving the national camp. So for those not familiar with what happened yesterday or are familiar and still maybe lacking some details, what in the wide world of sports is going on?
So essentially what's happening is that you had two guys asked to leave camp because there are charges that they have been gambling on soccer. In Italy, gambling is not illegal, but if you gamble within your profession, it is illegal.
Yeah.
And so that is what they are currently under investigation for. Chiesa was also sent home for not being fit. So this camp so far is a tale of two groups.
Right.
One is that Spalletti has. Let me back up a bit. So in Italy, whenever you are born in another country but are an Italian citizen, you are called oriundi. So it is in the old days. It was considered I'm not going to say it's as strong as a slur, but it was certainly something less than positive.
It was a slam.
Yeah, and so it's a way of denoting that you are less than, right? You are not as superior because you were not born in the motherland, and you have you're just not as quite as pure as we are. Mm-hmm. Italy over the years has had tremendous success with Oriundi. In 2006, we have Mauro Camoranesi, who was Argentine and helped hoist the World Cup. But you have Spalletti, who's doing a significant amount of outreach now to Oriundi by saying, coming out there and saying, hey, look, we're out here trying to compete for the people who had to leave Italy for, maybe economic reasons or for whatever reasons. And it is, this is, we're reaching out to you, like he's really doing the most to build bridges to get internationals from other countries in, right? And that's something that Italy desperately needs. This has all been received very positively from the Azzurri fan base, especially here in the United States. A lot of people on social media saying, for the first time, I feel like the national team is talking to us. And at the same time, you have players on the other side of the coin who are showing up to camp not fit, who are showing up to camp and having dark clouds from legal perspective hanging over them. It's a mess. And none of this is new. This sort of lack of leadership, this sort of lack of self-discipline has been there for a while. But yeah, it's a mess because you're not getting called into question for minor offenses. Gambling is a big deal in this case. And so Tonali and Zaniolo are going to be looking at some major legal challenges coming up if this is the case, because they're not if there was nothing, if it was quote a nothing burger, it would be this would be swept under the rug. You would not have even heard about it. But unfortunately, it is a thing now. And it's not going to go away. I can tell you that, because now that it's public, they're going to have to make an example. So, it is what it is.
Notified of the inquiry by Turin prosecutors while at the national team's training center in Coverciano before European Championship qualifiers against Malta and England. I wouldn't necessarily be concerned about the first one. I'd be concerned about the second one just on premise. The Football Federation didn't specify what the investigation was about, but said the two midfielders were allowed to go home on the basis they're not in the right state to face upcoming matches. Statement said, the Federation announces that this afternoon the Turin Public Prosecutor's Office has conducted investigations into players Sandro Tonali and Nicola Zaniolo, who are currently training with the national team at the Coverciano Federal Training Center. Regardless of the nature of events, considering that the two players are not in the necessary condition to face the matches scheduled for the next few days, the Federation has decided also for their protection to allow them to return to their respective clubs. Turin prosecutors said they were investigating another Italian footballer, Nicola Fagioli, for alleged illegal betting activities. Fagioli is facing a parallel investigation by FIGC prosecutors to determine whether his alleged gambling involved football matches. And then the news agencies overseas remind us about the Tonali to Newcastle transaction from earlier this year. So, man, that And ANSA, the Italian news agency, reported both players had been questioned as a part of a betting probe. So FIGC did not specify. The news agency ANSA did, and the two teams have not been. The two players, once again, they got sent home. No comment from either Newcastle or Aston Villa currently when it comes to the two of them. So keep an eye on all of that, and that's where we are. How much? I mean, what does your gut tell you, Nick, about what to anticipate from this? How many black helicopters do we sit there and put in the air to sit there and say, okay, well, maybe these players were sent to England to kind of get them away from what they were doing back home in Italy?
It's looking, I'll put it this way, that the decision to sell Tonali came out of left field. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to remember, it happened when he was on international break, right? And so that Milan approached him and said, hey, we're selling you. And they really didn't give him a lot of heads up on this. With Newcastle, hey, offering the money was right from Newcastle. Let's not be, let's be real here. But for Milan, it was widely known that Tonali was going to be the centerpiece of the rebuild, that he possessed all the abilities that you wanted out of a player who was going to be, with you going forward. He was not who you grew up cheering for is a huge deal in Italy. So if you're Interisti and you are, playing for Milan, that's like, people will always look at you with a skeptical eye. If you were, a Juventini tifosi, and you said, yeah, I grew up cheering for, Juventus and all that. And, people would absolutely give you the side eye, especially if you screwed up in a game. But the thing with Tonali, it was always known as that he grew up wearing red and black. He grew up with, going to the games with his dad. That was part of the storyline. And his favorite player was Gattuso, even though people made a lot of comparisons to him and Pirlo. He everyone has essentially said, no, he's Gattuso with better passing. That's like his, whenever he wanted to take the 8 jersey, he called Gattuso and said, hey, are you cool with me wearing this? Like, he went through all the proper steps to kind of take that mantle as the future. And for Milan to come through and so brazenly and abruptly essentially toss him out the door, it really smacks as that they must have heard something. They must have known something. And I don't think it's black helicopter to say that, hey, look, we don't want this on our doorstep when it blows up. Get him out of here. Mm-hmm. And the right deal came along to make it where it was a no-brainer for them. That's what it looks like now. Now that's completely speculative. That's completely, like there's no there's no evidence to support that thought process.
We're
But
just looking at the jigsaw puzzle pieces on
right,
we haven't put the puzzle together, but we can kind of see what it looks like.
right. It seems to me like even if you wanted to break away from the Maldini power structure, getting rid of a player like Tonali really never made sense. I mean, like the season before, they're like, yeah, he's untouchable. He's not going anywhere. We're going to renew him. We're going to keep him here. He's going to be our future for a long time. And that wasn't just Maldini saying that. That was like everyone in the hierarchy was saying that. So to go from being completely untouchable, not for sale at any price, to yep, 70 mil off the door. Thanks, bye. It sounds like something really was fishy with that, where because the teams are dialed into everything. They really are. Like, you have people who are in the the Guardia di Finanza. You have people who are high up and politically who will reach out and to their favorite teams and be like, hey, just a heads up, you guys are kind of under scrutiny right now. And if somebody reached out to Milan and said, hey, look, this kid's got some gambling stuff coming down, you're not going to want to be a part of this. It is a very American mindset to be like, get him out of here. Before there's any trial, before there's anything, get him out. And so it looks like, talking about those jigsaw puzzle pieces, these are two pieces that look like they fit together pretty well.
Okay. And like I said, I wanted to, the next time that you were on the show after the news broke, I wanted to specifically have you kind of break out what this means and the context and everything that's attached to this. And if we were staring at the puzzle pieces and we're sitting there thinking, well, maybe this, or this, then how far off were we with the idea of, it's like, maybe we should just kind of, get him away from all of this. So that way folks aren't looking at us. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And that's kind of what I was thinking about with this when those two were asked to leave camp. All right. Legal pads out, everybody. It is that time. And Major League Soccer yesterday have lists. They have lists. And there's a list that was put out yesterday from our friends at Major League Soccer. The 2023 22 under 22 presented by Body Armor. They are not a sponsor here. We'd like for them to be, perhaps. So the 22 under 22 is a list produced by the soccer staff at Major League Soccer, because if it was produced by a staff at someplace else, we might have issues. Top 22 players in Major League Soccer under the age of 22, as voted by, Bam, enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekend. We'll be back with you Monday. Voted on an expert panel. This is their wording. An expert panel consisting of select MLS staff and MLS season pass talent. And by the way, MLS season passes survey is out about what they did in year number 1. We'll get into that too, now that I'm thinking about it. The rundown of all of the talent here on this 22 under 22 list. 14 of them are from an MLS Next Academy. The average age is 20. 4 players are aged 18. Age cutoff. Players have to remain 21 or younger before the end of the 2023 MLS regular season, which is decision day on October 21st. Basically, they have to be born after October 22nd, 2001. And this was done. And now remember, also, the voting was done a month ago. The voting was done a month ago. So we'll see how this was a month ago. And we'll start at 22 and we'll work our way forward. So agree, disagree, change your numbers, change your order. That's what we're talking here. And we'll go through the list, see how well we agree on it, what you would change, who goes where, who switches, and who does what. So here we go. 22 is a mouthful. Theodore Kudipietro from D.C. I always get confused. I always stumble across Kudipietro. I always stumble across that. He's 22. 21, Daniel Edelman at Red Bulls. We saw him with some time in seasons past with Red Bulls too, playing at Atlanta United too. Number 20, Diego Gomez, midfielder, Inter Miami. 19, Bernard Comungo. And if you do not know his story, look it up. That is your Google search for today. Bernard Comungo. Short version, Tanzanian refugee camp, settles in Abilene, Texas at the age of 14, open tryout for the MLS Next Pro team, and now he is one of the young talents in Major League Soccer at the age of 21. Comunga's 19th ranked. Owen Wolff at 18 for Austin FC. Chris Brady, the keeper, at the age of 19 for Chicago Fire, is 17. Pedro Vite for Whitecaps is 16. Juan Mosqueda, Portland Timbers, is 15. Jalen Neal, LAG, is 14. Dylan Barrero, 13. Obviously, his season cut short by the torn ACL. He's at number 13. Dylan Barrero, New England Revolution. Talis Magno's at number 12 from NYC. Facundo Frias, number 11, Inter Miami. Diego Luna, RSL, number 10. Caleb Wiley is number 9. Defender, Atlanta United, aged 18. He is number 9. Now, here's who's above Caleb Wiley, and this is where I'm guessing our discussion will probably start as a linchpin. Cade Cowell, number 8, San Jose. Jack McGlynn, midfielder for Philadelphia, is at number 7. John Tolkien, Red Bulls, is number 6. Brian Gutierrez, Chicago Fire, number 5. Noel Buck, midfielder, New England Revolution, number 4. Aiden Morris, midfielder, Columbus Crew, is number 3. Benjamin Kremoski, number 2 at Inter Miami, and number 1's Alan Velasco for Dallas. Third straight FC Dallas player to top the list. Velasco, Jesus Ferreira, Ricardo Pepi. 4 players are aged 18, Buck, Kremoski, Wiley, and Owen Wolff. 3 players from Inter Miami, 2 players, Chicago, Dallas, Revs, Red Bulls. So as we look at this list, who's got what where? Nick, what do you think about this list? And if you want to use the linchpin of Caleb Wiley as your starting conversation point, go right ahead.
3 things that stand out to me. One, I've got to immediately side with Ricky Ricardo on Tyler Wolff not appearing. Did I get that correct?
Yes, Owen did. Tyler did not.
Okay, yeah. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. So I don't know who made the list, but they're probably doing like those like South Floridian bath salts. But anyway, Kremeski seems to be, and this is not a knock on him, but it just seems that he's been a significant beneficiary of the Messi effect. That if without Messi in that run in the magical mystery tournament, is he even in the conversation?
Yeah,
to be on that list, I don't think so. But when Messi is creating a gravitational pull like a collapsed star, it's going to allow you a ton of room to operate. So good for him for making the most of his opportunities. Again, this is not a shot at him at all.
Right.
But I don't think that he's on that list without Messi being the orchestrator that he is for the very small window that he had. Tolkien, people seem to be, people really seem to love that guy. Do I think that he needs to be as high as he is? Nah. But that's, again, the big thing for me is that Tyler Wolff's not on this lineup. This is crazy to me. And I'm not saying that there's an anti-Atlanta bias or anything like that, but I am saying that there are moments where it feels that folks know what to do to get clicks.
Mm-hmm.
And people know which fan bases are the most active in doing that clicking.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that there's having Owen and not Tyler on that is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Having Caleb Wiley where he is a choice. Putting Kremeski up there is a choice. It feels very WWE to me. That's all. It just feels like it's very WWE. Like we're doing what's best for business. Okay, great.
Well, there have been conversations, and individuals who work for this particular publication have admitted in recent conversations and releases that the editors are telling them to do A, B, C, D, and E.
Yeah, and that's the whole. To me, that should open up everyone's eyes to what's happening, and it's not just the Athletic that's doing it. Let me be 100% clear. Every news organization out there is being scrutinized to the nth degree for profitability.
Mm-hmm.
Every single news org going. The margins for news organizations are very thin outside of a few key tentpole events. If you are...
And the paying of their CEOs.
Yes, correct. And the paying of the CEOs. Yes. They're very critical, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are someone who has kids at home and you got a power bill to pay and your daughter wants dance lessons and your son wants new cleats and the editor is sending you an email saying, hey, this article that you wrote isn't going to move the needle and you need to make something that we need to really focus on Miami doing things, or, you know, focus on this or focus on that to move the needle. You're going to sit down and have a conversation with yourself and realize that you're not Edward R. Murrow and that you're going to instead start, writing what the editors tell you to write because you need those checks to clear and you need that employment. And I understand the situation, but it's becoming harder to tease apart the work from the shoot.
Yeah.
The work is, and so for those who don't know, in pro wrestling, when you have two wrestlers in a ring and one guy says, you know, your wife was at my house last night. Ha ha ha. And I have everything in your bank account and I bought the deed to your parents' farm. Ha 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 ha. And they go to the back and say, and you know, then they're best buddies. What happened in the ring is a work. Okay. It's not real. It's not grounded in real life. There's nothing true about it. The shoot is when you go back and somebody talks to someone else and says, man, I really love working with this guy. He's the absolute best. The bit about, you know, buying the deed to my parents' farm was gold, right? That's the shoot. What we have now is the work and the shoot are getting blended. And it's hard to tell what the shoot is from what the work is for the Athletic and so many other news organizations out there. I stopped paying for it because I demand a little bit better from the news sources and the opinion pieces that I take in. And it wasn't anything that Felipe wrote, or it wasn't anything that any of the other, who's the other?
Tenorio, Stechall, take your pick.
Yeah, it has nothing that any of them wrote. What really broke me with the Athletic was they had an Indianapolis Colts beat writer who had like a heart attack or something. And his editor said, yeah, well, you still need to get 300 additional.
I remember that story.
Yeah. You need to get 300 additional subscriptions, man. You're behind on your quota. And the guy's like, I just had a heart surgery. They're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You got to get that 300. And at that point it was like, yeah, that says everything I need to know. They're not chasing clicks, right? Because if you go to any of them and say, hey, look, you're pushing for clicks. You're like, no, we don't push for clicks. That's not our business model. No, you're a subscription model. So your job is to drive subscriptions. And that is the issue, because you get what's called annually recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue. And if your monthly recurring revenue drops because you lose subscriptions, then you have to alter your content radically in order to drive that. So it is, I would just caution anyone who's reading anything nowadays, follow the money and follow what they're trying to do. If they're trying to drive subscribers, and you have your writers who are openly saying that the editors are pushing them to ask questions in a certain way, it's driving engagement. That's all it is. God bless them. I hope their checks clear the 1st and 15th of every month. I seriously mean that. But at the same time, just don't buy everything that gets published, hook, line, and sinker. Don't allow yourself to do that. As far as, any sort of issues with like roster rules and all that, I mean, I think it's going to happen immediately. I think it's going to happen probably in the playoffs as more sacred cows get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
If MLS feels that certain sacred cows are being pushed to the side, they're going to do what's best for business, and they're going to alter the rules. And that's just what's going to happen. I think they should anyway, but I would expect mid playoffs, the week of MLS Cup, especially if it's not a particularly popular matchup, then yeah, that would be my. If it's not like two top 8 markets going at each other, then I would expect that you're probably going to get some kind of crazy MLS rules going on.
Yeah, we'll get into the calendar in just a second. Rich says, for you, Nick, from Rich, as we know, these publications are now owned by the hedge funds who care more about the profits than the reporting.
Completely. Yes, and that's exactly what's happening. If one of the worst things is all the local papers are being bought up, and I'm not talking about like the AJC, right? But they're part of it. But I'm talking like the Paulding County Neighbor,
the neighbor newspapers on the whole. Yeah,
Marietta Daily Journal. I mean, you had great writers who were committed to serving their community. It was looked at in the same way that the fire department was, or the local cops, or the teachers. Like, I'm serving my community, and this is how I do it, like an elected official.
Yeah.
But now it really is, hey, it's all about margin, and the entertainment business in totality is this way, which is why you have in Hollywood, the CEOs of the studios have walked away because of 2%. According to the Screen Actors Guild, they said that they walked away, the CEOs, because SAG asked for a 2% cut to what the studios were pushing. Mm-hmm. The studios were like, nope, we're not going to do that. Notice as soon as the Writers Guild deal got done, that everybody's Disney Plus monthly payments went up.
Yeah.
Notice that a lot of your other monthly subscriptions from the entertainment side are going to go up as these deals get done. They will not lose a dime on margin.
No.
And because The Athletic being purchased by New York Times is going all in. They laid off their entire sports staff, and now it's all going to Athletic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have discovered the same thing that everyone else has, that controversy creates cash, and controversy is putting out takes that are inflammatory, that are half-baked, that ask questions in a very, very provocative way in order to generate any sort of momentum from a subscriber base or to keep you on a page. We used to do that when I was doing video distribution. We would serve videos to reduce what's called bounce rate.
Right.
So when you go to a page and you're like, oh crap, this isn't the page I'm looking for, and you're out, right? That's your bounce rate. You want people to stay on the page for as long as possible, because the longer you're on the page, the longer you're going to look at ads, not just that are served in a video, but all surrounding the written content as well. And it's measured to the nth degree. So that's where all of your sports entertainment stuff's coming from. I don't get paid a dime to do soccer down here, right? And I have no problems with us getting sponsorships and doing things like that. But if we issue a stupid blistering hot take, the Twitch pitch is right here to call us on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to answer for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And the Twitch pitch doesn't forget. And if I issue some kind of crazy hot take and I come back again on Monday, the Twitch pitch is gonna be like, hey Nick, you didn't answer this on Friday, so why don't you answer it now? And I can't be evasive about it. I can't hide behind a Twitter account. Oh, I didn't see it, or I didn't, or I said it on TV a week ago and I don't have to go. We don't have time for me to get into the weeds on it. No, I have to answer it. So it's good. It's important to have a larger Twitch pitch, media wide.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this isn't where we were going with our initial U22 conversation. I'm sorry, I've been derailed.
No. That's what we're here for. It's all good.
Yeah, but this is what we need. We need a Twitch pitch for media and overall. So when somebody from The Athletic issues a really stupid homer take, they get called on it. Like Bill Plaschke.
Yeah.
When he was this absurd Mookie Betts needs to be the MVP, even though none of the numbers matched up to it. He was issuing a stupid homer hot take.
Uh-huh.
And Twitter annihilated him as a result. Right? Did he ever respond to that? No, he just kind of let it go because he knew what he was doing. And a lot of people from The Athletic do the same thing. It's part of they are on a payroll. They have metrics to meet. Right? Mm-hmm. It's part of the process. Now, I am not going we also have to be smarter in how and I've got to go in just a minute because I got a pre-production shoot call I got to jump on here.
There you go.
But we also have to be mindful of it's easy for us to fall into the trap of a black or white thinking. If we all observe something and everyone goes, okay, this is bad, mm-hmm. terrible,
yeah,
right? And I'll use the Ibarra deal as an example to bring it back to Atlanta United. Ibarra's out. Oh my God, this is terrible. It's a disaster. It's horrible. The front office is stupid. They have no idea what they're doing. What in God's name? They're ripping this team apart. It's the ego, and then what happens? Who do they bring in? Okay. They bring in Mayumba, who mm-hmm. I think has been observably better mm-hmm. across the board in every way. And the attack now works much more fluidly. But because we live in a world where everything has to be responded to immediately, yeah. and any sort of dissenting opinion is immediately hippo pooped on, mm-hmm. it pulls us into this situation where somebody comes out and says, well, actually, I think this may be a better thing long-term. It sucks for Ibarra, obviously that report again in The Athletic did not help Ibarra at all.
No, it didn't.
I disagree with that. And if Felipe and I were to have a conversation about it, I would tell him that directly to his face and not in an aggressive, harsh way. I would just be like, yo, man, I that's not an article I would have written.
No.
I wouldn't have put a 20-something-year-old.
But it goes back to our previous point.
Correct. And so, but Felipe felt that was something that needed to be told. That's Felipe and the man in the mirror and his editors, so, and Bogert and some of the other guys write stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would not have written that. I would not have put that out there, but in the end, Yes, Alex, thank you. So, when I say people get hippo pooped on something, automatically it's, oh, you guys are in Atlanta United's pocket. You guys are, whenever we say, no, this is going to be better long term, I think it's because honestly, that's where we sit with it. And now Jason and I and John and I and Jarrett and I will disagree on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we, I think we should have kept this player, getting rid of this player was probably the right move. We'll have disagreements, sometimes very tough disagreement, but the difference is that I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to being wrong on things, right? Christian Pulisic, I thought was going to be a bum and a bust at Milan. He has not been. I still don't agree with the idea to do the deal because I have to think in 3-year cycles because Serie A is the only league that gets hit with financial fair play issues. But I've been wrong on that. I just feel like we have to have a different level of conversation when it comes to charts, rankings, when it comes to profiles, pieces, because I have to look at it from the standpoint of why was this piece written?
Mm-hmm.
What does it accomplish? And what is its accuracy? And it's hard to establish accuracy when you're doing an opinion piece.
Yeah.
You can sit there and go, okay, here's the underpinnings of what this person's trying to say. I disagree because of this and this, but it's like a conversation that my brother and I had, like almost a slap down drag out at his bachelor party weekend up in Chattanooga. Because I'm a Rolling Stones guy. My brother is a diehard Beatles guy. And he wanted to have this argument because that's what we do when we have a few too many adult beverages. We tend to want to start crazy high-pitched arguments with each other. Which was better, the Stones or the Beatles? And he didn't bring any metrics. He didn't bring numbers. He only brought vibes. He said, "Oh, but Sgt. Pepper's, man." And I'm like, it's not my fault that dudes died and like the band broke up and whatever, and the Stones kept going. Like that's not, but here's the concerts. Here's the fact that they're touring. Here's the cash that they're pulling, and you can't argue numbers with vibes. And it feels like there's too many people who are arguing with vibes as their weapon and not facts as a weapon. And they're not willing to return to that argument later on to say, oh, in hindsight, yeah, you probably did have a really good argument. Instead, that stain of you are in the team's pocket, you're a sunshine pumper, you're Carlos's buddy. To me, that is something we have to change. And some people don't want to do that because they're using sports as an outlet for their aggression and, their anger at their job or their life or whatever. I get it. I understand. But these are human punching bags on the other end. They're not like inanimate objects. And they actually do see the things that are being written. So it's important for us to take a breath before we react to any polls or any charts or any articles, because if you don't, you're playing into exactly what they want you to do, which is immediate first blush reaction. I read a paragraph. Wait, there's the paywall. No, I'm really mad at this. Okay, I've got to subscribe because I got to read the rest of what this idiot has said. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to subscribe. And then you forget that you're subscribed to this thing and you just get auto renewal. So with that, I'm going to step off. I don't know how long this call is going to be. If I can jump on before 11, I will. But otherwise, I'm going to be stuck out in California without a lot of pre-production work, and my insanity won't let me deal with that well.
So we're here till 11:05 ish, and so if you're back off, then come back in.
All right.
What he said. So there you go. So that's Nick. And to add to everything. Full calendar. First off, before we get into other stuff, full calendar. Wednesday, November 22nd for Major League Soccer is the club deadline to submit bona fide offers. and that excludes conference semifinal participants. MLS clubs have to submit to the league office in writing all bona fide offers. Clubs in the conference semis required to submit all bona fide offers on the day after their final match of the postseason. December 1st, club deadline to exercise options. Once again, it excludes conference final participants. MLS clubs must submit to the league office by Friday, December 1st, which players have their options exercised and which players will not have their options exercised. Losing conference final clubs must submit exercise option decisions to the MLS League office on the day after their final match of the postseason. Clubs competing in MLS Cup presented by Audi must submit exercise option decisions to the MLS League office on December 10. Wednesday the 6th through the 9th of December is the College Showcase in Phoenix. Closed-door event gives technical staffs from every MLS club an opportunity to scout top collegiate prospects in the nation, including players with remaining eligibility in the NCAA. Monday, December 11, the trade window opens, 9 o'clock in the morning. Unfortunately, Monday, that Monday is Championship Monday for me, so we'll try and cover it as best we can, however we can. It won't be live, at least not with me. If Nick and Jarrett can hop on live and do stuff for trade window on Monday, that'd be fantastic. Monday, December 11th. 3-month roster freeze. MLS clubs can adjust their rosters, conducting trades with other teams. All roster decisions will be publicized by the individual clubs. Tuesday, December 12th, end of year waivers, 5 o'clock Eastern time. So basically, it's the end of business on Tuesday, the 12th. Conducted in reverse order of the 23 season finish, considering postseason performance. Eligible for selection are players who do not meet the minimum requirements for reentry process or free agency. End of year waivers process will close Thursday, December 14th at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 12, 13, 14 December. Free agency opens December 13th at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Clubs may engage with players other than their own that are eligible for free agency. Free agency eligible players are out of contract option decline players who are at least 24 years old who have a completed minimum of 5 years service. MLS Communications will make the complete list of free agents available Wednesday, December 13th. Thursday, the 14th is stage 1 of the reentry process, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Stages 1 and 2 are conducted in reverse order of 2023 season finish, considering postseason performance. Eligible players include those who are at least 22 years old, have a minimum of 1 service year, and who are not eligible for free agency. An out-of-contract player who's received a bona fide offer from his current club will not be eligible for the reentry. All of those players will be listed December 13th. Tuesday, December 19th, Super Draft presented by Adidas, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Reverse order of clubs standing is the end of each MLS season, taking postseason performance into account. Thursday, the 21st, reentry process stage 2, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Same order as stage 1. Not all unselected stage 1 players available for selection, as players may re-sign with previous clubs between stages or may opt out. So, once again, when does the reentry stuff go away? Probably when they negotiate the new collective bargaining agreement. So, once again, here's your dates. November 22nd, club's deadline to submit bona fide offers, unless you're still in the playoffs. December 1st, deadline to exercise options, unless you're still in the playoffs. December 6th through the 9th, college showcase. December 11th, that morning, the trade window opens. Tuesday the 12th, end of year waivers at the end of business. It's a 2-day window. Tuesday the 12th through Thursday the 14th. 13th, free agency opens at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Reentry stage 1 on the 14th at 1 o'clock. Super Draft December 19th at 3 o'clock. Reentry process stage 2, December 21st. So those are your dates to keep in mind. To Nick's point, what we were discussing about who is on that list and who's not, and who could be up and who's not. Once again, considering what Nick just talked about, who missed the cut? Who are the snubs? Think about it in the context that we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes. Steve Buke from LAFC. Jason Russell Rowe from Crew. Aziel Jackson from All Caps SC. Andres Gomez from Real Salt Lake. Tomas Aviles from Messi and Friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names. 5 names in the snub category. And once again, re-emphasizing a point that was made in the Twitch pitch, there's a name that's not on that list. Wasn't in the under 22, wasn't in the snubs, but his brother was. Once again, you get that kind of conversation. Not in the list, not in the snubs. Who's next? Reed Baker Whiting, Cruz Medina. Cruz Medina was also listed in the top 60 in the Guardian worldwide. Matai Akimboni from DC United. Byrak Terovich from the Revs. Miguel Perez from All Caps. Brooklyn Reigns from the Dynamo. Gavin Beavers from RSL. Nathan Ordaz from LAFC. Nathan Saliba, CF Montreal. Darren Yapi from Colorado Rapids. Once again, folks that are not listed, once again, remember our conversation. Most upside and transfer predictions. Most upside transfer potential on this list. And remember, they're expert predictions. Who can get the biggest transfer fee? They're thinking Farias, Talos Magno, Chris Brady. Who's got the most upside? Jalen Neal, Kromoski, Caleb Wiley has the most upside. Jamie Watson, Danny Higginbotham, both commenting on Caleb Wiley. Alan Velasco also there. Brightest national team future, Noel Buck. Is he going to get into the England squad? I don't think so. Jack McGlynn, John Tolkien, Aiden Morris. Buck would have to transfer to the U.S. squad. He's not going to get into the Three Lions squad. That's all I can say. Technical staffers, anonymous takes. Which homegrown prospect do you like the most and why? Caleb Wiley got 4 responses, 4 different responses. Very nice. Who'll go for the biggest transfer fee? Gutierrez, Magno, and actually somebody said Caleb Wiley in the anonymous folks. Biggest snub? Julian Fernandez, Jake Davis, Aziel Jackson, Christian Oliveira, Obed Vargas. Once again, no Tyler Wolff. Which next-gen prospect do you like the most? Nathan Ordaz, Marco Angulo at Cincinnati. So, yeah. So you got all that stuff. All of these separate sections, all of these separate tabs, all of these separate pieces of information. And there are still absences. But they got us to click on all of them, didn't they? To talk about the content. All right. It is well after top of the hour. So it is that time where I get to read a promo. And we will discuss one of our sponsors here at SDH. Okay, the music will work. Let's see if it'll loop for me. And we'll talk about, well, actually, the music's too loud. I got to turn it down because you don't want to get blown out by the music unless you just don't want to hear my voice read a promo. And it's about our friends at Eliminize Service, rotor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, and it is Eliminize. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Thank you, Ricky, for telling me what that is. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment. We like that too. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either above us in the cupboard or below us under the sink. Because when we reach either into the cupboard or below us under the sink and you get out that masking agent, there's a reason it's called a masking agent. You spray it in the air. You're masking the odors. You're not attacking the problem like our friends at Eliminize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you need more information, any frequently asked questions, or maybe even not frequently asked questions, one place you need to go, and it's their website. This is where, once again, I grab my pen. The website's lemonize.com, but do us a favor here at SDH. Go /Atlanta after the .com so they know what part of the world that they are addressing, that you are addressing them from. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH here on a Friday. And every other day of the week, too, when we have programming. Prem and Proper will be coming out tomorrow, since there are no matches in the Prem this weekend. Drew Dickinson will have the Drew Dickinson diatribe, otherwise known as the 3D, with what's going on in his world. Probably some Manchester United stuff that's attached to it, I'm sure. And we will continue to have those conversations on a weekly basis. And thanks to Drew for helping us out with Prem and Proper this year. It's been fun. Comment from 4Card. Why have free agency? Just go the contracts and transfer windows. Just do the contracts and transfer windows. I think you need free agency because then, 4Card, you get into the idea of restraint of trade. I think you need to have it because then we get into the whole Kurt Flood discussion all over again. And I just dated myself with that reference. But that's what, you've got to have that kind of thought there. You have to have the premise of free agency. You can't just sit there and, frankly, I know the re-entry BS and all this other kind of stuff, as you call it, 4Card. I know that it's that you need to update your transactional calendar and how you want to address these kinds of things. But I think first and foremost, once again, it's stuff we've talked about before. You got to have a cap situation, and it can't be where you have the 2027 cap number associated with you in 2023 and 4, and it's only $7.5 million. I mean, seriously, it's time to just take the shackles off. You want the world to come see you in 2026? You want them to see your league in 2026? Then you've got to take the shackles off. You want folks to come and play here in the United States in Major League Soccer. You can't just be sitting there and saying, okay, well, we're going to have, 4 DPs and we can pay them this and do all this kind of stuff. We can pay Xherdan Shaqiri a little over $8 million if we want to. But he's a DP and you've got to do this. You have to jump through this hoop and this hoop and this hoop. I think that you can have the DPs. I think you could have probably 4. And then you've got to have a ceiling and you've got to have a floor. I know that some teams will not want to invest, which is their prerogative. Colorado, Philly, Dallas. Think about the teams with academies that are doing really well with their academy players and that kind of a thing. They'll want to do it their way, which is fine. But then you sit there and it's like, okay, Xherdan Shaqiri gets paid $8 million. That's $8 million towards your cap of 80. And you've got to be more transparent when it comes to your salaries, your salary cap figures, all this kind of stuff. I mean, you see National Hockey League, literally, you go to NHLnumbers.com or whatever they're calling it these days, and you can see what players make, how long their contract is, how long the deal is for, what the cap number is, where are they in proportion to the cap, in relation to the cap, all that kind of stuff. That's what I would like. I would like an NHL version of cap awareness for Major League Soccer so we can all sit there and be more informed about all of it. All of it. Be more informed about all of it. That's all that I'm looking for. David, what's best for teams without money, though? DPs hurt them. GAM with being able to launder salary cap space for a good, cheaper player is best for them, I think. Raising cap entirely hurts them, too. Well, I mean, all right, David, so let's workshop this. I feel like that needs to be a T-shirt. Teams without money, is it that they don't have money or they don't want to invest? That would be my question here. Do they not want to invest? Which is fine. Like I said, Philadelphia does things through their academy system, but they're also going to bring in folks that are of a certain salary number. And all right, now that you've got me, MLS players, provided I could spell, salary info. I know my connection's not private. I don't care. Proceed. Okay, fine. Return home. Resources. Salary guide. Okay. All right. So what I would do is, legitimately, I would count the salary figure as the salary figure and not count it as a number that maxes out at, a certain number against your salary cap. So let's take Philadelphia for the sake of Philly. Either way, I think cheap teams are probably cheap to be cheap, not really cash poor. True. All right. So the way that I would look at, say, a team like Philly who uses their academy, as I scroll down with all of the numbers. All right, so Philadelphia. Kai Wagner makes $701,000. This is total compensation. Michael Ua, total compensation $1,940. And I would take total compensation, and that's your cap number. 2.6. Trent Holden, 2.7. Joaquin Torres gets you to $3 million. Quinn Sullivan, 3.12. Anton Sorensen gets you to 3.25. Matt Real, 3.4. Jeremy Raffanello, 3.5. Gino Portela, 3.7. Nelson Pierre, 3.9. Andres Perea, 4.4. 4.7 if you add Odata and McGlynn. Mbaizo, 4.8. Jose Martinez, 5.1. Damian Lowe, 5.4. Nathan Harriel, 5.6. Jacob Glesnes, 6.7. He makes $1 million. Daniel Gazdag gets you to $8 million on your cap. Leon Flock, 8.3. Jack Elliott, 9.1. Chris Donovan, 9.2. He makes the league minimum. Julian Carranza gets you to 10. Brandon Craig gets you to 10.3. Jesus Bueno to 10.5. Andre Blake, who's underpaid at $894,000, gets you to 11.5. Joe Bendick gets you there-ish. 12.5, 12.6 with Bedoya. All right, so right now, Philadelphia's got a number of $12.6 million in total compensation. That's what it is. So, this way it gives them that option. So, you want to make it $10 million? You want to make it 15? They're close enough anyway. So I was going to say a low of 20. But once again, they use their academy as a part of their thing. And Colorado, to me, would be a cheap team that's not really cash poor, as an example of that. So if I would just say, if a team wants to spend money, let them spend money. Don't let them just be hamstrung by a cap figure. As we've seen from Messi and friends, they've had to be somewhat imaginative about it, and they'll get more imaginative about it. They'll buy down Gregory to bring in another DP. Then they'll bring in, if it's Luka Modric. Seriously, if Inter Miami wants to drop $80 million on all these players, just go ahead and say it's $80 million. Instead of sitting there and trying to go, well, we're going to massage it with this deal and this deal and this deal. Look, if it's 35, report 35. Put 35 or 40 down, or put 50 down, or whatever the number is. Just so we're not having to sit here and wonder about deal value and where it is on cap and sitting there and talking about the league and DPs and questions and buying folks down and all this kind of stuff. The transparency, I think, is probably the larger issue for me. It's like, look, if you want to drop that kind of money, drop that kind of money. If you don't. But like I said, what did we do the math really quickly? Players under contract for Philadelphia, about 12 and a half, 13 million bucks. And we see their level of success. All right, so let's look at a club that is, let's see. You want to go with LA Galaxy? Just spending money to spend money? All right, so LA Galaxy. All right, so we said 13 million for Philadelphia. Zavaleta league is league veteran minimum. Giovivi is league min. 250 with Saldana, 750 with Uri Rosell, 960 with Memo Rodriguez. Ricky Puig gets you to 2.7. Jonathan Perez gets you to 3. Jalen Neal, Novak Mikovic gets you to 3.2. Chris Mavinga gets you to 3.7. Kelvin Leerdam gets you to 4. Klinsman, 4.2. Preston Judd, still 4.2. 4.2 at 4.8 with Joveljic. Chicharito gets paid $7.4 million a year in total compensation. So that gets you to $12 million already. For Kranis and Edwards, gets you to 12.5. Delgado gets you to 13. Koulibaly gets you to 13.5. Douglas Costa getting paid $4.5 million in total compensation gets you to $17.5 million or 18. Caligari gets you to 18.6. Caceres to 19.1. Gaston Brugman gets you over $20 million at 20.5. Boyd and Bond gets you to 21.3. Julian Aud gets you to 21.8. Efrain Alvarez gets you to 22.5. Daniel Aguirre, 22.6. So 22.6. And that's because they've invested massive amounts of money into Douglas Costa and Chicharito. Question then is, do teams take the Rockies or Twins route and cash revenue sharing for years without ever really trying to compete? And that would be the other element in this. Do you do the cash revenue sharing bit, or are you on your own? Do you invest less and try to get the league kickback? Or do you try and do things your way and reinvest? I guess that's the larger question here. So, but no, I'm not a fan. It's like, if you want to spend money, spend money. If you want to develop. I just don't think that there should be a ceiling on one or a floor on development or a ceiling on spending, if that makes any sense. Because you'll get found out through your organization and your transaction. If your front office is bad and you're spending money, you'll get found out. You won't be shielding a total compensation figure and sitting there. It's like, oh, it's only charged $4 million up against our number. As a DP, he can get paid whatever he wants, but his cap charge is only, whatever the percentage is. No, at this point, look, you're getting paid 7.2. It's 7.2. You're Douglas Costa and you're getting paid 4.5. You're getting paid 4.5. That's the cap number. That's the number that folks are staring at, not the 3 and then total compensation of 4.5. Don't make it 2 separate columns. I think that teams, if they want to develop, should develop. And if they're not paying their guys, then, do like Dallas is finally doing, is selling on and reinvesting. And you're bringing in guys like Alan Velasco. You sell Ricardo Pepi on. You use that money, you finally reinvest it into yourself and your academy, and you bring in the younger players. They sell on Alan Velasco. If Velasco continues at this rate that he's on, they should make a good profit on it. Then will they reinvest? Where do they reinvest it? That's the question. And I'm guessing that's where the revenue sharing is. It's like, if you choose to sell, that's your revenue. You want to sell players on, that's your revenue. You want to develop players, sell them on, reinvest it, that's the revenue action, the revenue action in all of this. And does that just make it, David asks, that just make it look like Serie A where only 3 teams are competitive? I think MLS looks more like European leagues with this plan. So it's good then, right? I mean, with this plan, with the current plan that Major League Soccer has, It was meant to get them to a certain point. Because, remember, early on, and this is what, year 26 of Major League Soccer? 27? Early on, you had to have owners owning multiple franchises to keep the league afloat. But now you're seeing international investment, and you're seeing investment from owners of teams in other leagues as a part of their cross promotion of their massive national, international branding elements. I mean, in Atlanta, once again, Arthur Blank owns the Falcons and Atlanta United. AEG across the board with whom they own, with the LA Galaxy and everything else. It comes to arenas. It is part of a balance sheet. Colorado, even though it's a bad example on the field, is owned by Kroenke Sports and Entertainment that owns basically everything inside the city of Denver and Arsenal. And yesterday we talked about how they're finally tapping the Arsenal pipeline when it comes to their ideas of who they want to bring to the table when it comes to their coach. They finally go to Arsenal after all of this time. Colorado does. And the Rapids ask Arsenal if they can talk to Jack Wilshere. And I love how that was phrased. Basically, Colorado goes to Arsenal. Hey, can we talk to Jack Wilshere? Your U18, is it U18 coach? But yeah, we'd like to talk to Jack Wilshere. We'd like to ask for permission to do it within our own organization. So that's what you're getting with. So that's what you're getting with Colorado. Colorado, for some reason, is choosing not to invest. Colorado, when it comes to the Kroenke balance sheet, is so far down in comparison to everything else in the city of Denver that you can tell that it's off to the side, which is disappointing because of what it could be if it was properly integrated within the KSE structure. You see what NYCFC is, a part of City Football Group. Tati Castellanos moves on to Girona. Girona's having a hell of a season. So these multinational conglomerates and ownership groups are using them. Some of them are using them as, side doors to help develop talent and such. I think Talis Magno will be sold or moved on within City Football Group at some point, much like we saw with Castellanos. But the opportunities are there, and I think that in some points, the Major League Soccer franchise has to be taken seriously inside the international conglomerate. But when it's taken seriously within the country, here in the U.S., you see what's able to be done. So, so that was part of the discussion here. So, that was good. Well, like I said, anything else on your mind, let me know on the Twitch pitch. We'll continue talking about it. We got a half hour left. We got stuff to talk about. Yesterday and today. So let's get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, get into what to watch today, as opposed to, and then we'll get into what happened yesterday. We'll go back and recap all that stuff. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo from a couple of different places. Bayern Munich considering a move for Calvin Phillips in January. Thomas Tuchel's hoping to strengthen his side in the midfield. 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. But Calvin Phillips, who for the longest time it appeared he wanted to learn from Pep Guardiola, be a part of a winning club and a winning culture. Does he want to move on? Is the lack of playing time, much like Harry Maguire, getting to him finally, where he wants to move on and play? Also, Manchester City are keen to sign Toni Kroos when his contract expires next summer. City's willing to pay £13 million a year, according to our friends at Mundo Deportivo. Newcastle have earmarked Arsenal midfielder Emile Smith-Rowe as a potential summer transfer target. Yeah, Jack Wilshere is the U18 manager. Manchester City leading the chase for RB Leipzig's Dani Olmo amid interest from Real Madrid, Arsenal, and Chelsea. West Ham's Kurt Zouma is a January transfer target for the Saudi Pro League. West Ham have identified Manchester United center back Harry Maguire again. Bayer Leverkusen defender Edmund Tapsoba as potential replacements. Saudi Pro League Director of Football Michael Emanalo has called Mo Salah a personal favorite of his. I would hope so. Manchester City, Arsenal, and Spurs have all been in contact with Royal Antwerp over Belgium under-21 midfielder Arthur Vermeeren, who is only 18. Manchester United, Chelsea, Bayern Munich also monitoring Schalke's 17-year-old German midfielder Hassan Ouedraogo. Wow, that's a lot of vowels. Ouedraogo. Ouedraogo. Took me a second. West Ham want to tie down Lucas Paquetá to a new contract. Manchester City, Arsenal, and Burnley want to sign Noel Buck. This gets into our investment idea. You invest in yourself. The idea that Noel Buck, who's an England U19 international right now, I still think that he's not going to be playing at this rate with the first team. But Noel Buck getting interest from New England on Manchester City, Arsenal, and Burnley. And that's the other question. What is New England doing with this money from these keepers? Petrovic out. Turner out. Both sold. Where's the money going? Just reinvesting it into the Kraft lighthouse. Manchester City, Manchester United attacking Sunderland's 16-year-old keeper Matthew Young. Remember, he can't play for another 2 years in the Premier League. Liverpool will have to fight off competition for Manchester City and Barcelona if they're to sign Lecce's defender Dane Patrick Dorgu, who is 18. That's from our friends at Gazzetta dello Sport. Real Madrid are interested in signing German defender Malik Thiaw from AC Milan for £17.3 million. The UK government could provide funding to complete the construction of Casement Park in Belfast, one of the host venues for Euro 2028. And DAZN is set to target the Premier League matches currently owned by Amazon Prime when the next auction for live broadcasting rights takes place in the coming months. That's from the four-letter paper. Once again, take the information at your own peril. We mentioned ownership and ownership groups and ownership down here. And for Jess, it might be interesting to see, is this going to happen with Jess and her beloved Reading? It appears that there might be someone who is interested in picking up Reading to the tune of £50 million. We've had all the discussions about Die Young, sell till we die, all that kind of stuff. And he has rejected the takeover bid from Ginevra. And we went into Ginevra and about who they are, and they're based in Luxembourg and all that kind of stuff. So now it appears that it looks like that you might end up with someone with ties to American business. £50 million, the pickup price for Reading, if this ends up being the way that it could be. And so, I'm trying to. Where is it? Reading. Okay, here we go. The second points deduction, all this kind of stuff. But it looks like someone's interested in picking them up for $50 million, based in the States. So we'll see what could happen there. Also on the board, it appears Wayne Rooney turned down a job in Saudi Arabia to take a chance at Birmingham City. From Ben Fisher at The Guardian, Wayne Rooney said he rejected an offer to manage in Saudi Arabia as he outlined his determination to showcase his credentials at Birmingham, whom he believes could become one of the biggest stories in the game. Said he wants Tom Brady to impart his advice on his squad. Rooney said he's looking forward to focusing on football after Derby, which was overshadowed by the threat of liquidation. Quote, it'll be nice to focus on the training sessions and games, having a team above me who I can have that trust in to make sure everything is right. Maybe that wasn't the case at my two previous clubs. Remember, 3.5-year deal. Gary Cook said the club's U.S. owners want to make the club a football powerhouse. Rooney referenced the trajectories of Manchester City and Newcastle. He has spoken to Tom Brady, meaning Wayne Rooney. Quote, what's important for the players is to see Tom having an involvement. At different clubs, you see athletes getting involved, but they're not really involved at all, just a name who's involved. It's clear he's fully involved in developing the club. It's great for Birmingham to have him on board and invested in it. Tom Brady will have a lot of advice he can give to me, but one of the things I want to do when he is over next is get him in front of the players, get him talking to the players, to get him sharing his story. It would be great for me to listen to that, and I'm sure it will be really inspiring. Gary Cook tried to lure Rooney over when he was executive president of the Saudi Pro League, and that was when he left Saudi Pro to go to Birmingham. So that's where you're hunting for it. Ex-Haas F1 sponsor, Rich Energy boss William Story is the one who is trying to buy Reading. Now, remember, Rich Energy, as the title sponsor for the Haas F1, did not last very long. He's got Story has to pass the EFL fit and proper persons test before he can complete the purchase on Reading. Story's prior bids for Coventry City and Sunderland have fallen over, has now reportedly agreed to terms with current owner Dai Yong, facing those protests. According to the Sunderland Echo, Story claimed to have the support of blue-chip backers while putting together a bid for the Northeast club failed to provide details. Story reposted the Reading 280-character feedback in recent days, famously claimed midway through the 2019 F1 season that the Rich Energy deal with Haas had been terminated due to the team's poor results. At the time, Haas sat in ninth in the Constructors' Championship, only ahead of Williams, who Rich Energy originally intended to sponsor. But confusion followed after Rich Energy, the tweet had come from a rogue individual, although the partnership at Haas was ultimately ended. Then Rich Energy became the title sponsor of OMG Racing's British Superbikes in 2020. He did sponsor BTC Racing in the British Touring Car Championships, deal directly made with Story. So, William Story has a bit of a checkered past when it comes to sponsoring things. So we'll see if that ends up continuing to be the case with Story. Does he pass the fit and proper owner's test? We'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, so Rooney assisted by Ashley Cole, John O'Shea, Carl Robinson, Pete Shuttleworth. Then he admits that there is pressure on him considering that they're in sixth right now, only 2 points out of third. But we'll see. Stupidity down here. Couple of different fronts, but we'll start with this one. Remember the conversations that we had seemingly in sadly in women's soccer about what's going on in Spain and what continues to go on in Spain. So, wasting no time, Jorge Vilda, you remember Jorge Vilda, he was sacked as a part of all of this. He was the head coach of the women's team in Spain, won the World Cup. He's now been appointed the new manager of Morocco's women's team. Insert irony here. Remember, once again, from our friends at the PA, a number of Spain's players refused to be a part of the World Cup squad under Vilda's management. Criticized for applauding Rubiales when the then Spanish Federation president tried to defend himself, obviously before resigning. And remember, Rubiales was up there on the dais, and he's sitting there and saying, Jorge Vilda, I'm going to get you a big contract. You're getting one now. It's like for 4 years and like $500,000 a year. Strongly backed by Rubiales, had been awarded with the new contract before pressure on both. Morocco made their World Cup debut this year, reached the knockout stages, beating South Korea and Colombia before losing to France, but the services of Reynal Pedros have not been retained, so they get Jorge Vilda. Statement. The Royal Moroccan Football Federation contracted with the Spanish coach Vilda to coach the women's national football team in the next stage, succeeding Mr. Reynald Pedros, whose duties ended, with thanks extended to him for the work he accomplished during his mission at the helm of the women's national football team, especially the qualification of the second round of the World Cup tournament, end quote. How many commas and positives are in that statement? It's not even like, it's like a sentence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commas. The paragraph isn't a positive upon a positives. 6 commas in one paragraph. But you felt compelled to hire Jorge Vilda. You wanted to hire Jorge Vilda. You thought that was a good idea. Yep. Oh, man. I can't say that I'm surprised. I really can't. Other news. Jacob Steinberg at The Guardian, chairman of the Israeli Professional Football Leagues, has said he's, quote, shocked, amazed, and disappointed beyond words at the Premier League's reluctance to issue an unequivocal condemnation of the Hamas attacks on Israel. The intervention follows British politicians and Jewish groups in the UK reacting angrily to the Football Association resisting calls to light the Wembley Arch either in the colors of the Israeli flag or the Jewish prayer shawl. Erez Halfon, who chairs the IPFL, wrote to Richard Masters, the Premier League's chief executive, to say that English football's response to the attacks has been too ambiguous and has not shown enough solidarity with Israeli citizens who lost their lives. Details of his letter emerged as it was revealed by the Jewish News that the chair of the FA's Faith and Football Group, Rabbi Alex Goldberg, had resigned in protest at the FA's stance. Goldberg said in a letter to Mark Bullingham, the FA's chief executive, that he was, quote, profoundly disappointed in the FA's decision not to have a specific tribute during the upcoming matches against Australia and Italy at Wembley Stadium to the victims of the worst single atrocity committed against Jewish targets since the Shoah, end quote. He told LBC he had not been consulted by the FA over its response. Premier League said on Thursday that a moment's silence would be held at its games from 21 to 23 October. Players, managers, and match officials would wear black armbands to mark the, quote, the escalating crisis in Israel and Gaza. Responses caused upset within the Jewish community, and Halfon, who called the attacks Israel's 9/11, has asked for talks with Masters. Halfon said Hamas had been condemned by multiple world leaders, laid out the gruesome details of the attacks, and said football has a responsibility to speak out. English football's response to last weekend's attacks caused major upset within the Jewish community, with the FA set to hold a period of silence in honor of all victims of the conflict before England hosts Australia at Wembley on Friday night. And so that is half of the article. It's a long piece, and so it's at The Guardian. So if you want to continue to read and investigate about all of that, then it is there for you to read. Ducking back into stupidity down here. Ed Aarons and Romain Molina. This was the other story I was chasing after. Zimbabwe Football Association has confirmed it's investigating a member of its senior women's coaching team over allegations of sexual misconduct against female colleagues. The Guardian understands the allegations relate to a series of incidents said to have taken place during the current Council of Southern Africa Football Association's Women's Championships in South Africa. They include claims the coach made inappropriate invitations to his room and, quote, asked for sexual favors, end quote, allegations made first in an article by the London-based journalist Melody Gwinyambira this week. And Zifa's statement is several sentences long. According to Gwinyambira, allegations have led to serious concerns over the mental well-being of those affected. A female member of the technical team is said to have left one of the team meetings in tears after being verbally harassed and degraded in public. It is understood she has not been eating with the rest of the squad in an attempt to avoid the accused coach, who remains in the same hotel despite the allegations being made public back on Tuesday. Zimbabwe were banned from international football for nearly 18 months by FIFA after the Zimbabwean government suspended Zifa over financial irregularities and allegations of sexual harassment of female referees by technical staff. Last September, the former secretary of Zifa's referees committee was found guilty of sexually harassing female officials, banned from all football-related activities for 5 years after an investigation by The Guardian. So there's that. Yesterday, getting into all of the scores and action and activity, setting up what's going on today. Oh, yeah, by the way, Tuesday night in Philly, yes, Rich doing making sure that no one, if you have no reason to be in Philadelphia, then don't take your car. Flyers home opener at 7, Phillies game 2, presumably at 8, Mexico, Germany at the Link at 8. So if you're going, go early. If you're going, go early. And by the way, the FA has been branded spineless and condemned for its weak response to the attack. Other news and other scores. Yesterday, once again, we had the results yesterday in Europe. Once again, remember, Saba had 5 assists in the 8-1 win for Georgia. Yesterday, European qualifying, Latvia shutout winner over Armenia, Albania 3-0 over Czech Republic, Kosovo big win over Andorra, Belarus and Romania scoreless draw, Turkey over Croatia 1-0, Norway put 4 on Cyprus, Poland put 2 on the Faroe Islands, Spain beat Scotland by the score of 2-0. Colombia and Uruguay had a 2-2 draw in CONMEBOL qualifying. International matches, once again, Egypt a winner, Russia won, the Football Union of Russia beat Cameroon. Georgia with their big win, Montenegro a win, Sweden a win, Algeria win over Cape Verde. And also yesterday in CONMEBOL, Argentina beat Paraguay 1-0. Ecuador beat Bolivia 2-1. Chile 2-0 over Peru. Brazil and Venezuela a 1-1 draw. And where that sets up everyone with the chaos, because we talked about it with Nico Moreno yesterday, with the chaos that's attached to everything in this window, with the world listed as the World Championship 2026, so folks don't get in trouble with our friends at Odds Portal. And because the last thing you need to do is get into any kind of trouble when it comes to all of that activity. So with the draw, by the way, the Brazil-Venezuela 1-1 draw was at a plus 918. Chile favored to win. Argentina favored to win. Big favorite at a minus 455. Ecuador favored to win at a minus 143. Colombia and Uruguay, the 2-2 draw at a plus 218. So South America right now, after 3 matches, Argentina is the only team who's perfect. 9 points, 2 points ahead of Brazil, who's at 7. Colombia has 5 points now. Uruguay, Chile, Venezuela, all at 1-1-1. Only separated, 3 teams separated by 1 goal in goal difference, but Uruguay has scored the most with 6. Ecuador is in that play-in spot at number 7. 6 spots going into the 26 World Cup out of South America. Ecuador's in the playoff spot with a 3-point federation deduction. They've won 2 of 3, but remember, they self penalized themselves 3 points, so they're in the 7 spot. Paraguay, Peru, and Bolivia right now are your bottom 3. 1 point, 1 point, and no points whatsoever when it comes to qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, which is already going on. So yesterday, with the scores in the Euro, sets up a larger day today and tomorrow and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. So we'll go through the weekend and let you know what to kind of keep an eye on with the results. We'll go through standings coming up. Actually, let's go backward before we go forward. So results yesterday, we told you the results with everyone attached in the Euros. So with those scores, standings in Europe, it's a beatdown with Georgia and Thailand when you stop celebrating the goals. Yeah, 8-0, you're just kind of like, yeah, and just kind of like you throw your hands up and it's like, yeah, it was a busy day. Scotland leading Group A at 15 points. Spain with a match in hand has a larger goal difference. 15 points to 12, Scotland and Spain. Norway is third in that group with 10, and they beat Cyprus yesterday. Cyprus has yet to win a game, get a point. They have scored 2 goals, which is more we can say for San Marino. Norway, Georgia, and Cyprus. So the next match internationally for Georgia is Sunday. Once again, we'll get into juice boxes in a bit. Group B, France 6 points ahead of the Netherlands. Greece right now is at 9 points, but Netherlands have a match in hand. Ireland and Gibraltar are in the tail end of Group B. England right now, as they get ready for the matchup early next week against Italy, 6 points clear. Italy has a match in hand. Ukraine, North Macedonia, chasing Italy right now, but they're behind in goal difference. Group D. Turkey and Croatia 1-2. Armenia, Wales have some work to do, but they're playing each other next month in what probably could be perceived as a knockout game. Group E, Albania 4 points ahead of Poland. Czech Republic and Moldova chasing Poland right now for that second spot. Faroe Islands have actually scored goals. Group F, Belgium and Austria. You're 1 and you're 2. They are far and away the best in Group F, ahead of Sweden, who plays Belgium next on Monday. Azerbaijan and Estonia, they each have 1 point at the bottom of Group F. Group G, the last group that has 5 teams in it. Hungary, Serbia, Montenegro all separated by 2 points. Hungary, Serbia each have 10. Montenegro has 8. Bulgaria, Lithuania 2. They got work to do. Group H has 6 teams. Slovenia, Denmark, Finland, Kazakhstan. It's going to be crazy. Strap in for Group H. Group I, Switzerland, Romania, 14 and 13. Israel has a match in hand for obvious reasons. Their next match is in Switzerland in a month and 2 days' time. Kosovo, Belarus, and Andorra wrap up Group I. Group J, it is Portugal, Slovakia. Portugal is perfect. They've yet to give up a goal in group. 18 points, 13 to Slovakia, 10 for Luxembourg. Then it's Bosnia-Herzegovina, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. So that's where your group standings are with the Euros. So your next matches today, 2:45. Estonia is a favorite against Azerbaijan. Austria is an underdog hosting Belgium. Iceland favored hosting Luxembourg. Ireland favored hosting Greece. Then you get into Bosnia-Herzegovina, big favorite. France and the Netherlands at 2:45 is one to keep an eye on. France a plus 127. The Netherlands a plus 220. Your draws a plus 247. Portugal, big favorite, obviously, against Slovakia, also at 2:45. Our friends from San Marino are playing at 9 o'clock on tomorrow morning against Northern Ireland. No surprise, they're a big underdog. Will they score? Ukraine favored against North Macedonia. Bulgaria, all the home teams are favored tomorrow. Noon, Bulgaria favored at home. Slovenia favored at home. Denmark, big favorite at home against Kazakhstan, who's a plus 1880 on the road. 2:45, Hungary favored slightly against Serbia, so that might be your day in the Euros on Saturday. Italy, big favorite against Malta, no shock. Sunday, Georgia, here's your Saba update. Georgia hosting Cyprus at a minus 333. Czech Republic, big favorite against the Faroe Islands. Switzerland, a big favorite at noon. Kosovo and Israel, obviously postponed. 2:45, Norway and Spain. Spain's an even money plus 100. Poland, big favorite. Romania, big favorite. Turkey, big favorite. Croatia, favorite on the road to the plus 104 hosting Wales. And obviously we'll get into everything involving everybody else on Monday. Front Office Sports was letting everybody know that we might be coming close to the international nightmare ending of the sale of Manchester United. So we'll end up in wonder about that when it comes to our friends at Front Office. Could we be at the end of it all? We could be close. But once again, just remember what the breakdown is supposed to be. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has reportedly emerged as the front runner in the sale because once again, this is from our friends at Front Office Sports, that his deal is not for the whole thing. Sheikh Jassim wants it all and will take care of all the debt. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, one of 2 remaining bidders. Sale rumors have circulated, and it continues. Nearly 11 months is where we are. Multiple reports. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sheikh Jassim. Latest news, Ratcliffe emerging as the front runner to buy into Manchester United, according to Bloomberg. Ratcliffe could acquire some shares held by both the Glazers and minority investors and initially get roughly a 25% stake. Unclear whether that stake could or would lead to an eventual majority stake, but you would imagine that that's part of the deal with Ratcliffe. It's like if I buy in at 25, I'm going to want elevator clauses placed in to where I could end up buying more if I want to. So the continual frustration will be there for our friends who want the full sale of Manchester United. That does not look like that is going to happen. You still laugh every single time I sit there and say Sir Jim Ratcliffe? Because you think Sir Jim is all one word? Sir Jim Ratcliffe? Nothing wrong with that. Before we go, what's on TV? We got to get into that too. So what's on the tube today? And remember, you got the U.S. who's got some activity as well. Friday, college men's action on ACC Network, doubleheader 6 and 8. FS2, Netherlands and France at 2:45. ACC Extra's got 4 matches on the app side. B1G Plus has college men's play. ESPN Plus at 1 o'clock has Bundesliga 3. Bundesliga 3, man, that's really pushing for stuff to air. Dortmund 2 and Rot-Weiss Essen at 1 o'clock. Remember, USL Championship, USL League One, they wrap up regular season play this weekend. Before we go, we'll go through all of that. 2 matches, USL Championship and Friday Night Football, Hartford and Tulsa, which means nothing. New Mexico and Memphis, which could mean something for Stephen Glass and Memphis 901. 6 activities in college men's soccer and 8 for the college women. Fubo Sports has the Euro 2024. They've got 5 matches. Paramount Plus has CONCACAF Nations League qualifying, which if you're really looking for something to kind of keep an eye on what's going on here in the region, I'd recommend it. It's some really cool stadia. The crowds aren't that big, but it's kind of a fun watch. Montserrat, Nicaragua at 3. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, French Guiana's at 3:30. Curacao, Panama's at 5. Barbados, Dominican Republic at 7, along with Martinique and El Salvador. Trinidad, Tobago, Guatemala's at 9. Belize and Bermuda's at 10. Okay. So Tom says, I hear Sir Jim, LOL, like he was Turkish, born and adopted in like an English family or something. SEC plus 5 games in college women's play starting at 7 going to 8. FS2's got Euro 2024 qualifying triple header tomorrow. USA and Germany, the friendlies at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Fox Deportes has Euro 2024 qualifying that includes our friends from San Marino at 9 a.m. 9 a.m., noon, and 2:45. They got Canadian Premier League on Fox Deportes at 5. Gold TV has Uruguayan Primera doubleheader. And if you do not have Gold TV, you can catch Gold TV and subscribe to our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get all the information that you're looking for there. You get all the BNs, you get Copa Libertadores, you get Sudamericana, you get For the Fans, you get CDO, you get Nuestra Tele, you get TIC, all of that there, fntz.co/soccer down here. Telemundo is the simulcast of your USA-Germany friendly. Mexico and Ghana's on 2 to NA tomorrow night. USA-Germany is also on Universo, and Univision has Mexico and Ghana as well. ACC Extra has men's and women's soccer on Saturday. Oh, wow, we haven't even talked about Apple TV and the season pass. FC Dallas, Colorado at 8:30, Nashville, New England 8:30, Galaxy and RSL's at 10:30. Those are the games that are still mop-up games for Major League Soccer. MLS Next Pro Conference Final, Revs and Crew 2. ESPN Plus has League 2 on Saturday at 7:30 in the morning. Not getting up for that. Notts County and Mansfield Town. La Liga, 12:20 and 3. Last day of the regular season USL Championship and in League 1. You can watch that all day long. College men, plenty of action starting at noon, finishing at 10. College women, plenty of action there starting at noon, finishing at 9. Flow FC has college soccer, men's side, 3, 6, 9, 10 matches. Fubo's got qualifying for Euro 2024. Paramount Plus has the English WSL, Chelsea and West Ham at 12:30. Brasileiro at 8. 3 more matches in the CONCACAF Nations League. Super League at 12:30. Once again, Chelsea and West Ham. And Peacock also has USA and Germany. That's your Saturday. So, all right, let's get into standings. MLS soccer and what to look for this weekend. It is Dallas, Colorado, Nashville, New England, LA and RSL. Season Pass has Dallas and Colorado. Nashville, New England, LA and RSL are on the free side of Apple TV. So here's what it's looking like. New England, 52 points. They win, they could go up to fourth. If they don't, they're still dragged into the last day of the regular season. Nashville's at 46 points. If they win, they would draw in closer to the 6. So that's what you're staring at there. Remember, once again, that folks are in the barn when it comes to DC United. They ain't going nowhere. Right now, they're in 9th. They can't make the postseason. In the West, Salt Lake at 46 points. If they win, they would temporarily be in 4th, moving up from 6th, because Houston's at 48, Vancouver's at 47. Dallas is 42 points. If they win, they go from 9 to 7. Portland's at 43. They've got one more win than San Jose. Dallas is at 42 going into the weekend. And then LAG and Colorado. LAG's at 35 points, and Colorado is at 26. So that's what you're staring at when it comes to Major League Soccer. We mentioned USL Championship, USL League One. Remember, Tormenta has to win and get a better result than Forward Madison to make the postseason. So we mentioned the standings in USL Championship. You can catch all this stuff on ESPN+. Right now, Eastern Conference, Pittsburgh's your 1, Tampa is your 2, Charleston is your 3. That much we know. Memphis wins. Right now, they're in 4th in the Eastern Conference. Memphis is at 52 points. Lou City is at 50. So Memphis, Lou City, keep an eye on those two. That can determine your 4 and your 5 and your last home slot in the Eastern Conference opening round. Indy 11's at 48. Birmingham Legion's at 46. So you could have Indy 11 be the 5, or they could be the 7 or the 6. The Miami FC is 1 point ahead. They've won 4 on the spin. They beat Charleston in Charleston last time out. The Miami FC, right now, they're the 8th seed. And those of you that watched the FIU game earlier this week, you saw the lines from the Miami FC. They're done playing there this season at Ricardo Silva. Detroit City is at 40 points. If they better the result for the Miami FC, they make it into the postseason. The Miami FC does not. So the last playoff spot in the East is open and up for grabs. In the West, Sacramento is your number 1. They're the top seed. Then the fun starts. San Antonio's at 55. Orange County's at 54. San Diego's at 54. Your 2, your 3, and your 4 are in play. Colorado Springs is at 50. They can go no higher than 53 points. They are in. We just don't know where. Phoenix Rising is the 6. They're in. We just don't know where. If they better Colorado, they could be the 5s, and the Switchbacks could be the 6. Then the fun part. You thought it was fun in the East. Here's the West in USL Championship. El Paso Locomotive at 44 points. New Mexico United's at 43. They've won 2 in a row. That is your playoff bar right now. Roots, 42 points. They picked the wrong time not to win any matches. They've only gotten 2 points in their last 5 games. They're at 42 points. Monterey Bay is at 41 points. RGV still mathematically alive at 40 points. So basically, everybody from 7 to 11 is chasing after the final 2 playoff spots in the West. So it's chaos. USL League One. Everybody we know is in. Once again, we just don't know the order. But the bottom line is the 6th playoff spot is the one that's interest here in the Southeast. Union Omaha's at 62 points. North Carolina FC's at 60. Northern Colorado Hailstorms at 59. So we don't know who could finish where. Union Omaha has the game against Forward Madison that is of incredible import to fans of South Georgia Tormenta. Union Omaha has to play through this match. They can't just coast in it, because if they want to be the number one seed, they've got to have a better result than North Carolina FC and Northern Colorado Hailstorm. So Omaha plays Forward Madison. $7:00. Forward Madison, Union Omaha. You got to keep an eye on that. North Carolina is second place at 60 points. They go up against One Knox at 7:00. They've got to continue to play, meaning North Carolina FC. Hailstorm has Chattanooga. So Hailstorm can't take it easy. Charlotte is your 4 at 48 points. They play Tormenta and host them at 7:00. That's where we're staring at here. Greenville, by the way, for their last match of the year, is in 5th place at 47 points. So you see where we are with all of this math that we're attached to. Greenville's got Lex SC. So Greenville has to play. So all of this chaos that's attached to everything in USL League One. The 1, the 2, and the 3 can't coast, because Union Omaha is currently up 3 points. If they lose, they could be the 2 or the 3. North Carolina could be the 1. They could be the 2 or the 3. Same for Hailstorm. The 4 and the 5 are in play, Charlotte and Greenville, so they have to compete. They can't just sit there and Christmas tree an effort on Saturday. Charlotte's at 48 points. Greenville Triumph's at 47. So the 1, the 2, and the 3 could be the 1, the 2, or the 3. The 4 and the 5 could be the 4 or the 5. And Forward Madison, who's playing Union Omaha, they've got to get a result. South Georgia Tormenta has to get a result on the road after their 3-game win streak was snapped. And they've got to do it in Charlotte, as Charlotte is trying to solidify the 4th spot. So you want crazy? USL League One, all of the matchups mean something to everybody north of the playoff bar, and Tormenta, who are trying to get into the playoff picture. So ESPN Plus, I imagine, is going to be a very, very busy place on Saturday at 7:00 and at 9:00, because Hailstorm have a 9:00 kick. They will know what they have to do at Future Legends going into their match. I would recommend probably, maybe, perhaps, everybody kick off all at the same time. But, and then you've got Richmond and Central Valley also playing each other for the last game of the regular season. But yeah, absolutely crazy in USL League One. And it's also decision day in the NWSL this weekend. Just when you thought that all of the leagues were taking it easy, they're not. NWSL is nuts. 5:00 decision day special. Everything is going on at the same time on Paramount Plus or Golasso Network. SiriusXM is going to be broadcasting Red Stars and Rain at 5:00. So 5:00 is decision day this year, week 22. Paramount Plus has all the matchups. 5:00, SiriusXM, Red Stars and Rain. It's Orlando and Houston, Red Stars and Rain, Gotham and Current, Washington and North Carolina Courage, San Diego Racing Louisville, Angel City, Portland Thorns. That one is on Paramount Plus and Tigo and Golasso Network. So here's how things stand for your playoffs. It is nuts. Standings. Right now, Portland is at 35 points. Waiver at 34. Courage are at 30. Gotham are at 30. Spirit are at 30. Rain are at 29. Pride are at 28. Angel City at 28. Racing Louisville 27. Dash at 26. Current 25. Red Stars at 24. Are you kidding me with this? Are you absolutely kidding me? You need a protractor and a compass to figure all this stuff out. It's absolutely insane. So here's probably what you need to end up doing. I'm gonna see if I can get this squared away. NWSL playoff scenarios. All right, now this is from our friends at Equalizer. Becky Morgan, Dan Laletta. Once again, CBS Sports Network has your whip around show. All the matches on Paramount Plus. Thorns have clinched a berth. San Diego's clinched a berth in home semis with only the Shield to be decided. Current and Red Stars are out. 8 teams, 4 spots. 7 of the 8 are within a chance to host playoff matches next week. There is a scenario, according to our friends at Equalizer, where a team that hosts a playoff game finishes equal on points as a team that misses out. And Orlando could wind up tied for the most wins and not go to the playoffs. Sorry, I dropped the top to one of my pens. Hang on just a second. So 8 teams, 4 spots in the NWSL. And we'll try to have Jen Hildreth on after all of this calms down to break down what happened. So here's what's going on. Spirit and Courage. Courage clinched the playoffs with win, draw, plus a Gotham loss or a rain. I'm not going to go here. I'm going to post it. So here is your primer for the NWSL. Posting it in the Twitch pitch. Friends at Equalizer Soccer, and if you really enjoy the women's game, subscribe to Equalizer if you have the funds to do so. Back them as best you can. Yeah, but Equalizer Soccer has all of your scenarios for absolute chaos in the NWSL. So basically, there's chaos in USL Championship, there's chaos in USL League One, and there's chaos in the NWSL. Last games of the regular season. So you got all that. So I will say this. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure that all of your batteries are charged. Make sure that everything is there for you. And enjoy it. Kick up your heels on your favorite sofa or on your favorite table, because it's going to be a hell of a weekend. And we'll be back at it again on Monday morning at 9:05. We'll break down what happened this past weekend. We'll get you ready for the last week of the regular season in Major League Soccer. And remember, Charlotte's got to play twice, and they got to play Inter Miami with that makeup game. So Charlotte could be sprinting in from lane 8 to get into the postseason too. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Thanks to all of you for hanging out today, as you always do. I know we went long. There's a lot to talk about. Thanks to Nick for dropping by. And we'll catch up with our friends next week from our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring as well. So for everybody here, can't thank you enough for hanging out with us on another week of everything at SDH. For everybody here at SDH, to all of you, enjoy your games this weekend. We'll be back at it again at 9:05 Monday morning to talk about it all. Play it safe, everybody. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll do it again. And Prim and Proper out this weekend. And if you missed it, great conversation about the unified team with Lena Saul and head coach Marty Jellamy. That is up on the network as well. So busy weekend for us, busy weekend for y'all. Just take it easy. Enjoy your football. Enjoy your college football. We'll be back at it again 9:05 Monday morning. End of the show. Mucha plot, y'all. Play it safe. It means I get to do this.